Let me ask you something you've probably never considered. What if your seemingly random arrival here at this very moment is actually the start of an ancient story, one written before you drew your first breath? For more than 2 decades, I've watched souls stumble into rooms like this, thinking they're merely passing through, when in reality, the ground beneath their feet was prepared for them long ago. You are not an accident, you are an answer. And if you let your spirit stay for the next few minutes, you may never see your role in this world the same way again. Let me speak plainly. As a father who has seen the hidden corners of struggle and faith, the world will tell you that meaning is measured by what you have, how high you climb, how much applause you gather. But I have learned sometimes in the midnight hour, sometimes in the quiet pain that humbles you, that significance is not found in possessions. It's found in the capacity of your spirit to steward what heaven entrusts to you. Your journey, my beloved child, is not about amassing things for comfort or proving your worth by what you own. It's about carrying a sacred responsibility forged in the fires of adversity. There is a calling here, a trust placed on you that outweighs any trophy this world can offer. When you realize the provision coming into your life isn't just for your own enjoyment, but a weighty stewardship, everything changes. You are set apart, not just for yourself, but to restore what was missing in your family's story, to correct the course where others lost their way. You are the pioneer in your ancestry, a spiritual trailblazer charged with both material and soul influence. This was never about being mastered by possessions. It's about serving with integrity, directing others with wisdom, and amplifying the divine work laid before you. Ask yourself, why did you get chosen to walk this path? Why were you given strength to begin where others faltered? Because the answer is written in the design of your spirit, the real purpose is now unfolding for you. Let this settle in. Not everyone will endure. Not everyone can hold what you are called to carry. But if you stand firm, clarity will greet you at the next step. You are the first in your lineage to be entrusted with abundant resources for divinely set intentions. This isn't encouragement for the faint-hearted, this is destiny. A blueprint designed to bring out the part of you capable of stewarding and building according to a greater will. The appointed provision is not simply coming, it's being released because your spirit has been made ready in secret places. But here's the hard truth. It hasn't been easy. There were seasons you received less, felt disconnected, walked alone, struggled for every inch of progress. The unending difficulties, the obstacles hidden from others' view, all set the stage for your refining. You were not simply picked, God's full confidence resides in you. Your presence here is not random. You have a place in the divine design. You are the voice for truth in silenced halls, the shift where change was unthinkable. You did not inherit a pattern for stewarding both visible and invisible riches, but you have been fitted by the fires to establish it anew. What others could not teach you, you are being equipped now to model. Why? Because you will not let riches become your master. You will not betray your purpose for fleeting fame. You will not trade your spirit for what the world puts on display. You endured obscurity, not because you lacked value, but because heaven was building your resilience where no eyes could see. The scaffolding of success is invisible, but when raised in secret, it stands firm when pressure comes. Think of the times you were overlooked, the promotion that went elsewhere, the moments when all doors seemed locked. These were not proof of your inadequacy. They were training in solidity, the rooting of character that cannot be uprooted by wind or drought. What men saw as delay was God's preparation. The private pain begat public strength. Now, as the favor begins to show, your foundation will not crack. You are the first to rise in both provision and resilience, combining influence with righteousness, building for generations, not just for yourself. This stewardship stretches beyond material resources, its legacy. You are creating what your ancestors could only dream. You are accessing possibilities once closed and ensuring those doors remain open for those who follow. The intention behind this choosing is not display, but transformation. You are not called to compete with the wealthy, but to use wealth as a tool for sacred purposes. This is your solemn calling, a responsibility involving wisdom, provision, and the well-being of many. Because you didn't quit during your refining, you won't waver in abundance. Heaven rejoices over the faithfulness you kept when none saw, rewarding it with strength, resources, and entrance into a blessed place. This is not luck. It is the result of agreement with the divine that now returns multiplied. When others see your journey, they see only the surface. They miss the tears cried in solitude, the prayers whispered late at night, the sacrifices borne anonymously. But what heaven observed is now becoming visible. Your true self will not diminish as abundance grows. It will expand your influence. The trust placed on you is heavy, but now your inner fortitude is strong enough to bear it. Prepare yourself. The resources being sent are not for personal gain, they are for your kin. What is happening in your life is a turning point for generations. You are restoring what was lost for those who never had a chance to dream of plenty. That is why your struggle was so intense, because it was never about you alone, but about the liberation of your lineage. Your discipline breaks open liberty for family. Your obedience is the fountain of blessing for descendants. You are the first in your line to hold significant resources for sacred purposes. This goes far beyond houses and wealth. It is about constructing spiritual foundations and provision for others. You will clear burdens, break patterns, create a future, support education, and establish organizations shaped by integrity. You leave not mere material wealth, but an enduring spiritual impact, a legacy of faith and foresight. The resistance you faced was so fierce because the impact reaches beyond you. It is generational freedom unfolding through your life. As you progress, ancient boundaries fall away. This moment is holy, not random. It is not the reward of effort, but the unfolding of divine intent. You are the cornerstone, the herald of destiny for your family. This is sacred trust, not secular success, and you bear it because your character was proven worthy. Many may accumulate wealth, but lack righteousness. They rise to influence but drift from true purpose. What is happening in you is distinctly set apart. You are raised for service, consecrated in spirit, chosen for more than applause. Your every act, word, and influence bears the signature of the divine. And so it begins, the new chapter, the greater journey. You are not just advancing, you are transforming history. The path ahead is clear, walk in it, knowing the roots beneath you run both deep and holy. If you've ever wondered why your journey felt shadowed, why loneliness seemed your only companion on the hardest nights, listen now, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. What happens in the dark has the power to shape destiny. Every hidden hardship, every silent stretch when progress slowed, every moment when others seemed to move forward while you stood frozen, these were teachers, instructing your spirit for a weight you never could have carried unless you were first made strong away from the world's gaze. As a spiritual father, let me assure you, the measure of greatness does not emerge in the spotlight, but in the quiet classrooms of obscurity. I've seen many rush toward influence, yet only those who survive seasons of apparent insignificance without losing heart are truly prepared for sacred trust. For it is in these hidden chapters that God strips away pretense and shallow motives, building foundations that stand unmoved in storms. When I looked back on my own journey, there were times when my prayers went unanswered, when value felt invisible, when those closest to me advanced with ease while I was left to wrestle with doubts and difficulty. These were not wasted years, but sacred refining, the grounding that transforms surface personalities into unshakable souls. If you're feeling overlooked now, know that you are not being discarded. You are being stabilized, not concealed. This is the mystery of spiritual preparation, favor forged in isolation, integrity chiseled through adversity, patience grown in the soil of suffering. The first sign of true stewardship is the ability to flourish unseen. Only there can root systems deepen enough to bear the fruit the world will one day see. You, my child, are called to build something lasting, to secure generational benefit, to merge outward success with inner righteousness. But before that legacy emerges, the inner work must be complete. Realize this. Before abundance, there is emptiness. Before sufficiency, there is total dependence on God. Do not mistake periods of lack as punishment. They are divine lessons preparing you to shoulder favor that would otherwise overwhelm you. In your lowest valleys, your character was being tested not for condemnation, but for strengthening. Would you serve, even when no applause rang out? Would you share when your portion was small? Would your belief survive when all evidence told you to quit? Every delay, every demotion, every denial, these are not dead ends. They are lessons in humility. The world teaches self-importance, but our Father lessens that weight so you can be entrusted with authority without arrogance. It's in the hours of obscurity that true value is revealed. Your worth is not in others noticing. Your resilience is not built in recognition. God poured out lessons through basic means so you would never forget. He alone is sustainer, not circumstance, not opportunity, not applause. So take courage. The seasons of little provision, the closed doors, the missed opportunities, all were necessary not as permanent trials, but as deep reminders of the source of life and favor. You learned perseverance through adversity, belief through apparent failure, wisdom through restraint. Every restraint was a refining fire, burning away selfish ambition that consumes so many once they receive abundance. Do you know how few truly embrace the full preparation required for great stewardship? Many desire influence, but flee the humility, the stretching sacrifice, the inner growth that alone makes provisions safe. But you, my child, are different. You did not shrink from the challenge. You let the journey shape your spirit. You became trustworthy, not only to receive, but to keep your soul intact when favor finally arrives. Your humility is more than a virtue. It is your fortress. It guards you from the pride that ruins many. Your willingness to obey, your quiet patience in difficulty, these are the pillars that will keep you grounded when others lose themselves in pursuit of more. Do not underestimate the value of painful seasons. They have prepared you to thrive in abundance, to anchor yourself when the world would push you off center. And so, when others observe your elevation, they cannot see the full depth of your path. They see only the outward results, missing the hidden tears, silent prayers, long obedience in the same direction. But God saw it all. Because you responded with sincerity, the coming abundance will not diminish your true self. It will expand your reach, magnifying the impact you were always meant to wield. Now, as the charge upon you grows heavier, be encouraged. You have fortified strength inside. The favor arriving now will not crush your spirit, it will establish you. These resources are not an end, but a means for your kin, for a legacy far wider than your own life. This is not merely personal gain. You are the restorer, redeeming lines broken long before you were born. The blessing meeting you now is not just for your comfort, it is a correction for generations of lack, a healing that echoes through ancestry. This is why resistance was so fierce, why setbacks seem to target you, because the work assigned reaches far beyond your own horizon. When you rise, descendants rise with you. Your discipline opens liberty for family. Your obedience, your enduring faith, is the spring from which new favor flows down bloodlines. You are chosen, not for pride, but for the sacred trust of transformation. You bear the weight of holy resources, tools for liberation, education, understanding, and genuine order. You will break old patterns, you will create pathways. The impact you leave will not be measured only in possessions, but in spiritual strength, lasting wisdom, and sacred institutions built for the common good. What you suffered will be what future generations overcome. What bound your parents will cease. What threatened your family will fall away. Here is a truth worth holding. Most who receive never learn how to manage. Most who possess power let it master them. But you, because you were refined in the quiet, will manage abundance wisely. The ancient resistance you endured was confirmation of your assignment, not a sign to quit. Your legacy is now marked for liberation, your family's story shifting from scarcity towards sacred abundance. Remember, many rise but lose integrity, many acquire but fail to serve purpose. Your ascent is distinct because you kept faith during obscurity, maintained conviction without compromise, and chose to honor what was unseen rather than chase what was popular. This is your divine difference, your mark as signpost for heaven on earth. You build in ways the world cannot imitate, foundations so deep they endure every threat. You waited with focus. You labored in dark seasons so that in the light your work would stand. While others diluted their message for easier gain, you preserved purity. While others cut corners for swift recognition, you chose the hard path. What follows now is unshakable legacy, rooted in truth, ordered with integrity, and secured for those yet unborn. This is why God led you slowly, anchored you deeply before letting you rise. Those who ran ahead will fade under pressure. What you've built, the world will just begin to notice. because your foundation was never self-importance, it was always obedience. The abundance you step into now is not only for yourself, it is fuel for purpose. Legacy will flow from your patience, impact from your perseverance. What took longer will last longer, and the fruit produced through obscurity will be sweeter when finally revealed. Hold fast, for this is only the beginning. The world will witness the fruit of long seasons spent in obscurity, and what heaven already knows will shine forth. The spirit prepared, the soul ready, the foundation unshakable. Have you ever felt a restless stirring deep inside, a quiet unease, as if the walls around you were closing in just as your soul began to expand? This is not a mistake, but a powerful sign. The spirit within you has outgrown the boundaries of your current world. As one who has walked many through their seasons of change, let me assure you, when nothing seems to fit anymore, you are at the threshold of holy transition. Growth is rarely announced. It arrives as discomfort, a sense that where you are is too small, too shallow, too familiar. The safe places that steadied you in the past start to feel confining. The routines that once worked seem stale. This is not a failing on your part. It is evidence that what was once nurturing has served its purpose, and now your spirit yearns for the next stage of destiny. Too often, I meet leaders and seekers who fight this discomfort, seeing it as punishment or confusion. But I have learned through decades of shepherding others that this unease is God's invitation to expansion. The person once contained in familiar spaces has been enlarged in secret by trials, by perseverance, by unseen shaping, and now nothing ordinary will do. You must let go of the landscape that cannot hold you anymore. Painful as it feels, the constriction is confirmation. The old season is done. If your surroundings feel barren or lacking, do not mourn. Heaven uses emptiness to summon you forward, away from patterns that would only keep you small. You cannot avoid unsettledness. Embrace it as a marker. God is pulling you away from noise, comfort, and the ordinary path, leading you into the unknown where you will truly thrive. If you cling to what's comfortable, your perspective will narrow and your spirit will shrink. You have been made for more, not for greater acclaim, but for deeper influence and true authority with purpose. The Lord is calling you from enduring to guiding, from familiarity into wisdom. When the old refuge becomes too small to hold your presence, release it. The place you belong is ready for you. But this transition is not only about new surroundings, it is a perfect convergence of your spirit, gifts, and the assignments heaven has prepared. In this spiritual repositioning, everything fits. Your capacity, your calling, your next steps. You are not being punished, but positioned. You have carried burdens that would have broken others, responsibilities that remained silent, truths that could not be spoken in your old setting because few had the depth to understand. Now, the chapter of obscurity closes, and the setting shifts. God leads you to places mature enough to honor the treasure within. There, your progress will align with the blessing. Your spirit will thrive, your authority will no longer be questioned, and the divine presence on your life will be magnified. No longer will you be forced to defend the spiritual truth God entrusted you. Your presence will activate the environment. What was once draining will become renewal because you are finally where you were meant to be. The work will not be easier, but the setting will fit perfectly. Favor flows unhindered, when all is arranged according to heaven's design. Embrace the transition, even when it makes no sense to those around you. The path God has set rarely follows human logic. The environment is tailored for your unique spirit, planned long before you imagined it. Your arrival is not a random shift, but the unfolding of destiny spoken over you. Step into the place prepared. Its atmosphere, relationships, and timing answer your purpose, not your comfort. What once restricted you was not failure, it was the sign you needed to move. The roles, jobs, and relationships that felt mismatched were not your shortcoming. They simply weren't your assignment. The new place, chosen by God, responds in harmony to your presence. Your gifts will thrive, your impact will deepen, and the clarity you have cultivated will finally find shelter. Do not force outcomes or settle for less to fit in. No longer must you dilute who you are or justify your calling. The space that once opposed you now aligns with your spirit. Opportunities will emerge that do not require compromise. Embrace the shift, not as loss, but as fulfillment. This is promotion, not punishment. As you enter, connections and conversations begin to confirm the knowing in your heart. People who never understood you will be replaced by those eager to labor beside you, who renew, not drain. Old burdens will feel lighter, not because they disappear, but because shared purpose, shared faith, multiplies strength. At the edge of every transition, expect resistance, a final battle before the breakthrough. Challenge and confusion intensify just before alignment comes. Delays, doubts, and fears attack not because you are weak, but because darkness recognizes how close you are to your new territory. The threshold must be crossed. Before every promise, there is a shaking. Do not mistake struggle as a penalty. It is spiritual confirmation. The battle means you threaten old limits and ignite new freedom. You are not broken. You are being transformed. Transitions always bring pressure and uncertainty before they reveal beauty. This stage, though intense and unfamiliar, marks your entry into new ground, leaving behind the ways that held you and stepping fully into the sacred space destined for your maturity. Hold this truth: the new season, the new place, the new relationships are all unfolding for your highest purpose. God is not just repositioning your circumstances, but aligning your inner self. This movement is the answer to generations, setting the stage for impact that outlasts your own lifetime. Let go of the temporary and receive your true assignment. The foundation was established in obscurity, but here, in the place prepared, it will finally flourish. Now enter, and let the fullness of your purpose be revealed. The moment you step into the place heaven has prepared for you, everything shifts. The air feels different, possibility stirs, purpose vibrates. Years of hidden labor and patient endurance converge as divine timing ushers you onto ground waiting for your arrival. Let me tell you, as a spiritual father, this is not coincidence. It's the hand of God aligning your spirit, your assignment, and your environment. Your journey is no longer just about surviving. Now you are in the place where you will thrive and guide others. This new setting has already been infused with the resources, relationships, and opportunities necessary for the next chapter of your mission. You are not called to struggle for visibility or force outcomes here. Your presence activates the promises laid up in advance. Your gifts, hard-won through sacrifice, find expression and magnification. The connections opening to you have been orchestrated with intention. Each conversation, each collaboration is a divine appointment. You arrive not as a stranger, but as the fulfillment of prayers spoken by others, waiting for someone like you. In this prepared place, you no longer need to dilute your truth or explain your calling. You are surrounded by those who recognize the mark of the sacred upon your life. Your faith and depth inspire them. Your courage liberates their voice. Your clarity reignites their hope. Every interaction bears significance, for you are now positioned not just individually, but as a catalyst for whole communities and families. Notice how resistance wanes and favor flows more freely. The struggles and confusion of the old season fade because this environment harmonizes with your spiritual DNA. Here, your abilities are met with affirmation rather than skepticism. Your vision is expanded, not restrained. The support surrounding you is genuine. The teams you join work in unity, and burdens that once weighed you down are now shared, making the load lighter because you do not carry it alone. Divine connections also activate dormant purposes in others. The anointing on your life stirs sleeping destinies, revives silent voices, rends veils that restricted potential. You see those who have yearned for direction finally step forward. You recognize that some, who once wandered in uncertainty, now find clarity by following your lead. As you move in obedience, courage, and assurance, ripple through the network God has constructed around you. This is legacy building in its purest form. You are not here simply to build for yourself, but to leave an impact that endures generations. You establish systems and support that lift descendants. You create opportunities that outlast your lifetime. Everything about this prepared place, from resources to relationships to timing, reflects perfect suitability. God did not simply relocate you. He positioned you for multiplied influence. Your guiding presence provides safety. Your discernment offers direction that others may have lacked their entire lives. What you institute here, structures of integrity, platforms for education, pathways to spiritual wholeness, become bedrocks for those who follow after. You clear burdens not just for yourself, but for family members breaking generational patterns, for communities shackled by limitation. Never underestimate the power of a life that arrives on divine schedule. This is the turning point, not only for you, but for those whose destinies are linked to your obedience. In this new environment, acknowledgement replaces rejection, support replaces isolation, renewal replaces exhaustion. The connections you form are bonds forged by the Spirit, destined to amplify your impact. Expect the supernatural. Doors opening with little effort, partnerships forming around shared values, affirmation of your purpose growing stronger. You find those who labor beside you without contention, who renew your strength rather than deplete it. The clarity you carry is safeguarded, the longing for spiritual fellowship is met, and your natural leadership is given healthy scope. This is not about seeking approval or fame. It is about fulfilling a larger purpose. You are entering a connection meticulously arranged by heaven, designed to expand your gifts and deepen your reach. The peace you feel is not due to perfection, but to perfect placement. everyone involved is exactly where they are meant to be. Burdens that were heavy become manageable because they are no longer yours alone. Relational bonds forged in this season are sacred, built for destiny, able to bear significant weight. These partnerships are heaven's answer for your next level. Never confuse convenience with divine appointment. So, when new paths unfold and confirmation springs up in conversations, rejoice. This is the evidence of purpose aligning with place. The outcome is undeniable. Greater impact, multiplied strength, increased favor. You are not just moving into a new space, but into a new measure of grace, authority, and legacy. God's guidance in all of this is personal, intentional, and strategic. The world will observe results and progress, but those walking with you will experience the sustaining power of a leader set in place by the Spirit. Where others see luck, you discern legacy. Where others see arrival, you perceive assignment. Step boldly into this prepared place. Let every step, every relationship, every project be an offering back to the one who designed your destiny. The fullness of your assignment is finally ready to be revealed. Your life, your work, your connections, they will not just be seen, they will leave a mark that endures. There's a truth every spiritual pioneer must learn. The greatest resistance comes right before the dawn of breakthrough. If, like me, you ever felt exhausted just as you took a decisive step, or if confusion and opposition seem to surge at the very threshold of your new chapter, know this: what you feel is not failure, but the spiritual shaking that precedes every expansion of purpose. Every time heaven moves destiny forward, darkness tries to hold you where you no longer belong. It is never random. The exhaustion, sudden opposition, and strange heaviness, the way that people shift around you, progress stalls as old doubts surface. These are battles designed to make you hesitate just before you step into promised territory. The enemy recognizes the mark on your life, even if the world cannot see it. The intensity of struggle is often the clearest confirmation that breakthrough is close. As a seasoned witness to these moments, I assure you, confusion reaches its height just before clarity emerges. The dreams that unsettle, the challenges that seemed manageable but now grow fierce, all signal you are at the boundary of transformation. Before every promise, there is a threshold. Crossing it often involves shaking and discomfort. Before every new ground is claimed, you must traverse the valley of resistance. The adversary cannot stop the move God has appointed for you. He hopes only to delay or distract you. Remember, this struggle is not a penalty, but proof of your advance. You battle not because you are weak or ill-prepared, but because your next move threatens long-standing limitations. The spiritual tension you feel is not instability, it's sacred transition, the pressure that comes before release. In my years of ministry, I've watched many falter here. Some mistake the battle for a sign to turn back. Others allow their old fears to overpower new courage. But I urge you, when the shaking grows strongest, it is time to press through, not retreat. Every upward step draws challenge, and every breakthrough requires patience to endure the final weight. What helps in these moments? Discernment. Recognize that resistance is an indicator, not an accusation. Doubt and fear are last-ditch efforts to contain the momentum of your obedience. When you sense exhaustion, confusion, or delays, ask yourself, Am I drawing close to the new territory heaven intends for me? In those times, recall God's faithfulness. Review past victories and the preparation that brought you here. Let divine assurance settle any striving. Prepare for this process by anchoring yourself in prayer, in community, and in the vision God has spoken. Stay connected to the Spirit and refuse to interpret hardship as rejection. Know that your perseverance now uproots old boundaries, not just for yourself, but for generations after you. The cost is high, but the reward is lasting release and new legacy. Spiritual battles before breakthrough also unveil new authority. When you step onto new ground, the power you demonstrate faith, humility, patience, teaches others how to weather their own transitions. Your example will inspire those who face similar resistance, helping them find courage in what you have endured and overcome. Claiming new ground means more than arriving at a new place. It is claiming the space for God's purpose, establishing new order, and insisting that favor, insight, and resource are used as sacred trusts. Truly, your obedience ripples outward. Each advance you make becomes a doorway for others to follow. Each spiritual victory multiplying freedom in the lives linked to yours. Expect the final stage before promotion to be the most difficult. Expect doubts to demand attention, exhaustion to test resolve, and fear to seek shelter in your spirit. But remember, every chapter of resistance is the final push before new doors open. Your calling was forged. For such a time, the struggle is your assurance, not your hindrance. So, even when the spiritual battle rages, refuse to shrink back. Step forward, knowing breakthrough is imminent. Claim your new ground with boldness, humility, and unwavering faith. Every obstacle overcome becomes proof of destiny fulfilled. Every victory in unseen conflict becomes the root system of legacy. This is not the end, it is the tipping point. You are leading yourself and many others into new freedom, and the pressure felt today will become testimony tomorrow. The shaking, the resistance, the battle, these all serve to magnify the power of breakthrough when you walk boldly in the purpose set before you. Let every step, every prayer, every act of courage remind you. The ground claimed today will be inherited by those who come after. Stand and persist, for what awaits beyond resistance is abundance, favor, and the power to transform history and lineage. There comes a moment in one's journey, the moment of true stewardship, when abundance is not simply possessed, but carried with dignity and purpose. After decades witnessing the rise and fall of those blessed with much, I declare with conviction, the measure of a life is not its wealth, but the integrity with which its favor is used for others. Now, as one entrusted with sacred provision, the call is clear. Live in a way that multiplies blessing and models legacy for those who watch and those who follow. Living entrusted means bearing a weighty responsibility, one not sought for acclaim, but imparted by divine design. It is understanding that resources, material, spiritual, relational, are gifts not for personal comfort alone, but for transformative purpose. You have been selected to restore what was missing in your lineage, to bring forward what previous generations could only dream. The story shifts from mere accumulation to distribution, from private gain to public impact, from a solitary journey to a legacy that endures. Your influence is now consecrated. It bears the very signature of heaven. Whether in speech, action, or silent example, the blessing upon your life is recognized as set apart. The fruit of your patience, integrity, and obedience becomes a foundation for others. You do not simply inspire through words, your life radiates peace, your decisions invite reflection, and your steadfastness challenges others to raise their standards and seek purpose beyond acclaim. What you possess is more than influence, it is embodiment of the divine trust. You lead in places where compromise is common, yet remain honorable. You rise among those who abandon principle, yet hold fast to your faith. Your presence makes visible what cannot be purchased: nearness to God, willingness to obey, and strength found in integrity. These traits set you apart, turning your life into a living signpost, pointing wholly toward a higher purpose. The lasting mark of your legacy is found in the structures you build, families strengthened, organizations founded on integrity, pathways cleared for education and spiritual growth. The resources in your hands serve liberation, deliverance, and the establishment of sacred order. Where your ancestors knew only lack, you create abundance with wisdom and intention. The impact ripples outward, freeing descendants from old patterns and providing for needs once unmet. True legacy is not mere inheritance. It is the transmission of spiritual clarity, resilience, and discernment. Those who come after you will not be shackled by generational wounds, fears, or limitations. Instead, they will inherit assurance, firmness, and clear direction. Every pattern broken, every burden lifted, every structure built becomes part of this multiplying blessing that transcends wealth and touches the soul. Let your story bear witness to the generations, the journey from obscurity to abundance, from hardship to authority, from striving to thriving. Your humility in lack and your responsibility in abundance model a path for others who will someday rise in their own right. They will walk through doors your discipline opened, stand on foundations your suffering cemented, and lead in places your legacy made secure. As you prosper, the world may see only success, but heaven rejoices over the heart behind it. You did not exchange core values for advancement. You did not dilute your faith or betray your principles for fleeting admiration. Instead, you remained resolute, pure, and centered, even when public recognition lagged behind private sacrifice. Living entrusted demands this constancy. It calls for the ongoing review of motives, unfailing stewardship, and readiness to lay down privilege for greater good. It requires resisting the temptation to hoard or retreat, and instead choosing transparency, generosity, and connection so others may benefit from what was hard-won in secret. The impact of your legacy multiplies not when you hold, but when you release, empower, and equip. The presence of God on your life, unmistakable, unreplicable, and unwavering, affects transformation in every environment. People encounter blessing when they walk with you, find encouragement in your story, and discover conviction by your example. The world may praise results, but the real difference is felt in hearts awakened, spirits uplifted, and futures secured. So, continue the work, build with patience, lead with vision, serve with humility. Let every choice reflect the charge placed upon you, to be not only successful, but significant, not only favored, but faithful, not only elevated, but enduring. in sacred trust. The fullness of your calling is not just in what you accomplish, but in who you enable, empower, and leave ready for the future. As generations rise, rejoice. Your life is the foundation upon which their freedom, purpose, and thriving is built. Your story is far from finished. It has become the launch pad for countless stories yet to unfold. This is what it means to be entrusted. This is legacy. This is multiplied blessing.